Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Coe. I'm delighted to be joined by Record Sports Fraser Wilson. Fraser, how's it going?
Good evening, not too bad. Yourself, Daniel?
It's lovely to be joined by you. And I'm also joined by Craig Swan. Swanee, how's it going?
Hi Dan, how are you? You okay?
I'm very good, thanks.
Good.
Swanee and I were together on the equally as good Record Celtic podcast earlier today, so been seeing plenty
You
of
do
each other.
say so yourself?
It's out there, all good podcast stores. But aye, it's good to be joined by you both. I don't even know where to start. I mean, Scotland, really good victory last night. Wasn't a classic?
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely start with Scotland. Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. We said last week, didn't we? If we got 4 points out of these two games, what a great start that would be. You know, obviously we wanted 6, but we realised what a tough game that was going to be in Copenhagen. And we've got such a great result over there, and then it's like anything. If you get that result, you don't back it up, it counts for nothing. But the fact that they went over to Hungary and got that job done in strange circumstances in the neutral ground with no fans, got the job done. 4 points, brilliant. Sets us up great for the games in October, but they're going to be very difficult. I think people getting ahead of themselves already. Oh, just about there. I'm taking a point off Denmark. People tend to have forgotten Greece's performance at Hampden earlier this year.
Oh, no, negativity.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's talk about Scotland then. Last night, as Swanee says, Fraser, really difficult game, difficult surroundings. I've got to be honest, the first sort of half an hour, I thought, oh no, this is going to be one of those games. But they were brilliant after, brilliant to get the job done.
Yeah, well, I thought 4 points would have been more than acceptable, but see, after that Denmark result last night, I just think it's really, really good start. It just shows the level Denmark are at, that result they got last night in Greece. See, the big thing for me, and I don't know what it sounds too Steve Clarkish here, is the 2 clean sheets, by the way, because see the last 2 games at Hampden, Greece and Iceland, where we conceded 6, and it's starting to look like we'd lost everything that was fundamental to the success we had under Steve Clark. That ability to defend and be really difficult to beat. It was starting to look like we're really easy to play against defensively. So first and foremost, I thought it's brilliant to see us get back to that solid defensive unit, and there's options there as well now. But where that performance in Denmark was excellent defensively, disciplined, organised, putting bodies on the line. Last night was always going to be such a change to that, and the challenge was to break down a team who themselves would have been happy to take a point last night, but also make sure we kept the back door shut. And I thought we managed to do both pretty comfortably. Like you, Daniel, I have to admit I was a wee bit not disillusioned, but just a wee bit worried after 30 to 40 minutes that we're a wee bit static, not really creating an awful lot, maybe just trying to rely on a bit of magic for Ben Doak or something. But, once we scored that brilliantly worked first goal and then an even better second goal, it turned out a really comfortable evening. And these games in years gone past have never been easy for Scotland. We've consistently slipped up away to these kind of nations. Add in the fact there was no Tartan Army in the stadium, at least. There was a few outside I saw or heard. Then it just turned out to be another brilliant night. And well done, Angus Gunn, for coming in and basically reinstating himself as our number 1 goalkeeper when there was huge question marks over that position.
Mm-hmm.
Now you see Ben Doak hasn't lost any of that X factor. I thought probably
last night.
I thought it showed all of that ball control, ability to beat a man, but I thought his decision making around about the box was top notch as well. And
defensive work. He won a header at the back post, defending his back post at one point.
The one he got booked for as well. The one he got booked for as well.
Yeah,
breezing back to fly into a tackle. Everything Steve Clark wants from his forward players. Absolutely brilliant. So very, very few negatives last night. So let's not focus on any of them. Thought Shea Adams was brilliant as well. Not only read the situation for the first goal well, but his assist for the second was top notch. Really good.
Brilliant. Really good. Well, you say no negatives, Fraser, but being Scotland, we've had plenty of comments sent in, and I'm just a messenger. don't shoot the messenger, guys. But a couple of comments sent in aren't particularly happy. Stephen says Denmark's emphatic win in Greece re-emphasised just what a very satisfying point Scotland got at Denmark. But I believe Steve Clark should have given Kieran Bowie his chance, as it would have been an ideal opportunity to test him at international level. The fact he didn't even get minutes off the bench was really disappointing. Kevin says, great start for Scotland, 4 points away. But if we can't give up-and-coming players even 10 minutes in a game v Belarus, we'll go nowhere, though. Mark says, I think if he says they can take points against Denmark, he also says we'd be a shoo-in if we had a striker. And just finally, Scott says the game's horrible, forgot how bad it was without fans. That's very true. But Kieran Bowie, guys, I mean, Swan, did you think he would get time, and were you sad to not see him get time?
There's two sides to this. Steve Clark, with his team selections, clearly got it right. He opted to play with two up in Denmark. There was a reason for that. Obviously, Scott McTominay, there was a bit of debate there. It was a wee bit more withdrawn. But the system that the manager wanted to go with, that he thought would be best to neutralise the Danes, worked. So you can't argue on that front. And then last night, he chooses to go with Shea Adams, who's terrific. So I get that people are saying, well, maybe bring him on for the last 10 minutes when the game's dead. But Steve Clark's always been a great man for saying, don't just hand out Scotland caps for the sake of it. That's back to the Bertie Votes days when you're just throwing them around people that are walking around Tesco's. you know, caps have to be earned. And if Steve Clark didn't think it was right to bring him on, then I don't think that's a big deal. Listen, Kieran Bowie's not going anywhere. And Kieran Bowie, it looks like a tremendous talent. And there is no doubt he's going to be a big part of Scotland's future if he continues on the same career path that he is. But I wouldn't be getting overly upset about the fact that he didn't come on for the last 10 minutes in Belarus. People say, come on for the last 10 minutes and get him some international experience. What experience? What? Running about in a game that's dead. It's already won. I mean, I don't really... That's just a cap for the sake of a cap. There wasn't any need. So, no, I'm perfectly comfortable with the way the manager went about it. The other thing I would say, just to add to the call that was made about Denmark, the slight concern I have is Fraser was right. We haven't been watertight in the matches at the end, towards the end of last season. But we all know it's easier to stop a game than it is to go win a game. Now, the way Scotland played in Copenhagen, I'm not sure they'll be able to play like that at Hampden, because you probably have to come out and try and win the game. And that's where your issue is. I didn't see the game between Greece and Denmark, but you can be pretty sure that the Greeks, having scored 5 in the game before, probably went out and went after Denmark and probably left some spaces which the Danes exploited. Now, that would be my biggest concern for the return game. But listen, Fraser's right. No negatives just now, but whether Steve Clark would choose to play the same way, and listen, that might be the wise way to play it when Denmark come to Hampden and actually play them the same way you played them in Copenhagen. Mm-hmm. If the situation comes to that, sometimes we get carried away, don't we? Oh, we're the home team, we need to go and try and do this. You know, whether it's club football or, and sometimes you just need to go with the best way of getting a result. Right. And if you dig in, I mean, what was the ridiculous start when we beat Spain at Hampden? We not have something like
2% possession
or something, but so what? So what? You sit and you dig in the game, you let them have the ball and play in front of you, and then you pick them off when you can. Nothing wrong with that. So, yeah, that was the only thing I wanted to add on that. But as on Kieran Bowie, he's going to have plenty of chances in the future.
I thought, Fraser, it was good. Obviously, Lennon Miller got on. Hoopsaholic says Bowie and Lennon should have had half an hour each. But what did you think of Kieran Bowie not getting on?
I would have liked to have seen him come on instead of Lyndon Dykes, but Craig's right. For what reason? I don't know, just because I'm a fan, and I would have liked to have seen him. Lyndon Dykes got his big moment in Denmark just for something different, but it doesn't matter. And I tell you what, Hibs will be delighted to get him back in one piece, you know, because of what happened when he went in under 21 duty after they just shelled out the guts of £800,000 on him last summer. He came back and basically missed the majority of the season. Well, did miss the majority of the season. Basically missed the whole season. Certainly wasn't up to speed by the end of the season, so they will be delighted. Obviously, they'd like to see him get a cap, but you won't hear anyone at Easter Road moaning, because I think they're a bit perturbed with what happened with the Scotland under-21s last summer, because he was just coming back for an injury at that point. So look, Kieran Bowie's got years ahead of him. Him, George Hurst, they look like the future for Scotland up top. I've got no doubt he will go on to win a good few caps. And Swan is right, and I'm a huge believer in this. You don't just hand out caps willy-nilly. Playing for your country, certainly Scotland, the home nation should be the pinnacle of your career, and I firmly believe the boys we have in our squad right now believe that and really appreciate every cap they get, and Steve Clarke's fostered that mentality. So don't just hand them out. Lennon Miller got a nice 10 minutes, probably injury forced them into coming on, but looked comfortable again. They've got years ahead of them, loads of caps ahead of them, so just be patient with them. I'm sure both will get minutes in this campaign and could well have an influence in the campaign as well.
But and just one other thing now, just to add, it's something I can remember our Daily Record columnist Ryan Stevenson saying to me one time. He was telling the story about, now, I don't like saying patronising because I don't mean it like this, but when somebody says, oh, you'll learn so much more just being away training, but those days away with the senior squad would have been brilliant for Bowie again. I know he's already done it, but just to get another taste of it. Remember Ryan Stevenson saying when he gets call up and he walked in and he went into the first training session, it was like, whoa, I thought I was a player. I didn't realise until I walked into this standard when you're training with the boys every day. And so he's going to have benefited from the trip. And the caps come.
Andy, can I not tell a story that was in the middle of a rondo, Steve-O, with these guys? And if Craig Levine hadn't actually stopped the rondo, he'd still have been there now, 14 years later.
I mean, he's got, as you say, Swan, he's got Andy Robertson, Champions League winner. He's got John McGinn, Aston Villa captain. So can't hurt him, can it? Yeah. Your loyal Muppet in the comments says the game is terrible, but a win is all that matters. We have to beat Greece. So Greece and Belarus at home in the next 2 games. I mean, I get him asking you how long a piece of string is, Fraser, but do you fancy us against the Greeks?
Look, I think we've come on. We've come on since we played them at Hampden. Don't forget we got a brilliant result over there in the first leg of that playoff. The fear for me is that they might see this as last chance saloon already in this quick fire group. I thought that was my Uncle Brian there, but no, it's not. Greece will maybe come in here thinking they have to win, which they might just throw everything at us. But again, that could open spaces for us that didn't exist the last time we played them. It's going to be difficult. Swan is right. Going to have to, this game at home, maybe approach it slightly differently to how we approach Denmark, but not too differently. Steve Clarke always makes sure the back door's shut first and foremost, and then try and pick teams off. It's going to be tight, that's for sure. But if we win that, if we can get 3 points against Greece, basically knocks them out of the equation, and then everything's geared up towards that final game against Denmark. As long as we can take care of Belarus at home as well, of course.
And obviously, you mentioned Denmark there, Swanee. Denmark's the last game in the group, November the 18th. Look, I know we're probably going to go into that game needing something. But who knows? Maybe, just maybe we'll be there already.
Did we not go into the last game against the Danes in the last World Cup campaign at Hampden, needing to win it?
So we did.
And we did.
3-0, wasn't it?
The only slight concern was that I think they might already have been through us.
They were through, aye. But still, that's one of the
It's interesting hearing Fraser talk about the Greece games, actually, what we talked about the style and the setup of how you play. We were compact in Athens and we win. And then you're a wee bit more open at Hampden, you get picked off and you get beaten in the return game. People forget that we won the game, and I think it was Athens anyway.
Also Scott.
So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Steve Clarke approaches that game. The fans are going to want him to go pouring into attack and such, but I'm not sure, not sure that might be the way to go. Maybe try and be cagey and just nick the game.
Also, Scott in the comments points out Scotland were very poor in that game against Greece. I mean, we were rotten that night. We surely cannot be that bad again.
The one thing I remember, Daniel, from that is from the first game. Now, you boys can correct me if I've got this wrong, but I'm pretty certain that there was the 2 established teams went into the game. Scotland won it, and in the return game at Hampden, Scotland were kind of short of bodies and basically had to put the same team out again, more or less. And did the Greeks not have a massive forensic rabble after they lost? Chucked out half the team and brought in a load of kids who were absolutely brilliant.
I remember that.
So they totally ripped up, refreshed and revamped their team and were a different outfit. So, I think both teams will be coming in a level playing field this time. I think Scotland were maybe a bit leggy that night when they got beat. That's the only mitigation I would give them on that occasion. You would hope that both teams are at the same levels of capacity when they take to the field. But it should be a great game. Should be a great night. And
I mean, Mark sums it up in the comments, says 1-0 against the Greeks will be more than fine. Absolutely.
Give me it now.
Absolutely. And the one thing I will say about last night, maybe just a final note, is us guys were at enough games during COVID to know how difficult it is to try and build a momentum in a game. And we're not there. We're watching it on the telly. Scott and Keith are there, but you're watching it on the telly, and you're maybe not getting it. It's hard to kind of build up a bit of momentum, you know, especially when you've got a team that've got, at one point I looked and they'd all 11 men within 30 yards of their own goal.
Aye.
You know, it's kind of hard to kind of build that up when there's no crowd with you and all that. We saw enough games during COVID and empty stadiums when you can hear every player's shouts like when you were back playing amateur football.
Yeah.
It's actually great when you see that, isn't it? It just reminds you that football at all levels is exactly the same, really. So
you know what?
It's all more or less the same shouts, apart from the fact the skill level's about 10 times different. It's all the same stuff, all the same whining at people for not chasing back and shouting at people. Exactly the same, minus the swearies.
Aye, they seem very well spoken.
And the on-pitch fights.
Well, before we move on from Scotland, guys, Rebel points out the Greeks haven't seen Doak yet. Very good point. And Brian again saying settle for any kind of win against the Greeks. I'm going to put you both in the spot here, guys. You know I like doing that. Are we going to make the World Cup?
Listen, I'm going to do what I did last week and go, yes, and be all positive because it seemed to work last week. But yeah, why not? 4 points already. Listen, everybody's talking about that Greece game and winning that Greece game. I think not losing that Greece game is the key because I think we could go to Athens and win. We've done it before.
Aye.
So just don't lose ground. Don't lose ground, whatever you do. As long as you don't lose the game, then it gives you the chance to go to Athens. You know, draw the game, say, I know we all want to win. As long as you don't lose it, that's 5 points. Beat Belarus at home, which you should. That's 8, taking into the last 2 games. You've got a chance of winning in Athens, and then it's all in the last game. So just don't slip. That's the thing. Don't slip.
Keep it alive. Yeah.
That's a typical Scotland fan. Don't lose.
What do you think, Fraser? Are we doing it?
I was getting away with it there.
No chance.
I'd like to knock my senior established colleague Swanee off his perch. I shall agree with him and say, I didn't lose. I don't know. Something just tells me we'll be going back into a playoff, which won't be a bad effort, finishing second. I'll certainly keep it rumbling on. I think if we qualify, it might be via a playoff. But look, this team have done it before and we're more than capable of doing it again. So yes, to answer your question, yes.
Yes. There will be a hotline live from America, Mexico and Canada.
Which
none of us will be on.
It'll be farmed out, eh?
And we'll still be sitting here.
You're
paint a big picture of Mexico City behind you or something.
Yeah, you're spot on. In the comments, Singing the Blues says, has this international break been going on for months? And Paul says, thank goodness it's back to the regular football this weekend. Football is back, guys. The Premiership is back. It does feel like it has been quite a long break. Obviously, we will talk about actual football, but a lot of the questions and comments we've been sent in is still on this Celtic board statement that came out at the weekend. I should probably read them out and get your guys' take on it. I'll run through a few of these. This one here from, if I can find it, that would be good. Kerr says, I would just like to ask Dermot Desmond, Peter Lawwell and co what they are doing to my beloved team. They are ripping the heart out of us. Us Celtic supporters deserve more transparency and communication with us fans who pour cash into the club every season without the board spending to improve and take us forward. Kenneth says Celtic must be the only club in Europe who can be in such a dominant position on and off the field and try to let their rivals catch up with them. Their statement for the fans was embarrassing, and now the club is all over the place with players wanting to leave and fans turning against them. A clear out is needed, but it won't happen. And Gary simply says, good news for the Celtic board. It's only 130 days till the January sales. I mean, what did you guys make of the statement?
That statement was absolutely appalling as far as I'm concerned. It was bordering on insulting to some of the Celtic fans with some of the stuff that was in it. I mean, I just found the whole thing utterly bizarre. And if that was an attempt to appease the Celtic support, it did the complete opposite. And the bottom line in all of this one is, listen, we've said it before and we'll say it again. The manager didn't get what he wanted in terms of quality in the transfer window, and the fans didn't get what they wanted, and now they're not getting Champions League football, and they feel as though the club have let them down, and they want someone to answer to it. And a statement with no one's name on it isn't answering to it. That's not answering to it, and you can see by the reaction of the supporters groups getting together, whatever the petitions and the joining up, the open letters have been sent to the club, they're not happy. And I've said this before, This one isn't going away with a couple of results. Like, there's been past issues, maybe things have happened, the disappointing transfer windows, and Celtic will come back. I mean, listen, I remember when Brendan Rodgers' very first season, when he came back the second time, Celtic had a really, really bad transfer window, and they went to play Rangers at Ibrox, basically had a back four that had never seen each other. I think Liam Scales played, Lager Belka played.
Oh, yeah.
And Kyogo scored. Celtic won 1-0 at Ibrox, and it kind of blew a lot of the kind of angst away. This is different. This one's different. It feels different. You can tell by the response of the Celtic fans it's different. And a couple of results here and there isn't going to change it. Celtic fans are angry and they want answers, and they're not going to give up until they get them. And I suspect this is going to rumble right the way on until the AGM.
Fraser, I think Swanee's right. This does feel different. And Mark says, I support a boycott, but I don't think for a moment it will affect Dermot Desmond. We need to do something. I definitely think the feeling is really deep amongst the Celtic fans now, and this is different to usual kind of bad transfer windows.
It is, and picking up what Swanee said there about Brendan Rodgers and one of his previous windows, I dug out a quote from Rodgers from exactly a year ago. Well, it's not exactly. It was actually the last few days of the summer 2024 window, just before they brought in Arnie Ingles and Dawson Trusty in the last 24 hours or whatever it was. But they knew they were leaving it late. And he said back then that something, in fact, I've got it in front of me here. Let me just read it out. We shouldn't have been getting into this last week in the position we're in. That's the reality. That's something for us for after this window. We want to strengthen and have that depth. It's taken longer than I would have liked as a football manager. It's definitely something having come back in as manager and gone through 3 windows now. Remember, that was 12 months ago, that we have to put right as a football club. Now, I reckon the window they've just come through has been the worst one yet since Brendan Rodgers came back. I don't think it's even close, to be honest, because of the players they lost and they've failed to replace. So Brendan Rodgers spent an awful lot of time last summer. I remember this. In fact, I go back to a trip that I was on with Swanee to Lazio, when Lazio basically ended their Champions League hopes 2 seasons ago. And I remember the aftermath of that was all about having to sign better quality and be backed in the transfer window. That was before the January one. And I'll go back to what I just said a minute ago. This has been the worst window they've had yet, and there's just been no excuse for it. I don't know if they seem to get carried away with getting Kieran Tierney in the bag so early on. That was always going to be the blockbuster arrival. It's obviously also left a bit of a problem at left backs. They can't seem to complete 90 minutes yet, and they've lost Greg Taylor. But the failure, and I'm only repeating what's been said before, that the failure to replace Kyogo Furuhashi in what has been over 7 months now is just unforgivable.
Shambolic.
Aye.
Shambolic, that's what it is.
And then they lost Nicholas Kuhn, who produced near on 20 goals, if not 20 goals last season, and was for 3 quarters of the season probably Scotland's Player of the Year. Not replaced him until the last day of the window. Now, we get they brought in Iheanacho and 2 wingers that they spent about £10 million on, and that could prove to be good business. But right now, they've not answered the questions that were thrown at them. And to go back to the original point about that statement, I just don't think it's, as Swanee said, it was just a bit of a slap in the face for supporters. No name on it. Who knows who wrote it? To not even front up to a club video, never mind the media, and answer proper hard questions to the media. I just think it just smacks at a board that's hiding and no answering questions that everybody wants answered. I mean, and just to take one point they made, fair enough, they tried to argue that they've got to live by the sustainability rules. Of course they do, everyone does, but Celtic are nowhere near getting in trouble with those financial rules at the moment. Certainly not going by what's been coming in and going out in recent seasons. So that just doesn't wash that, for want of a better word, excuse for the lack of activity this summer. Bottom line is Celtic still have a squad that should win the Scottish Premiership this season. They've got the best goalkeeper. I think they've got the best defence. They should, by a good distance, have the best midfield. The big question marks are over the front line. Who knows, these new signings might work. They've certainly been after Balikwisha for a while. So Brendan Rodgers, if there's a bit of luck with injuries, should still be able to get a tune out with that team domestically. I think the big question mark is how far they can go in this Europa League, because now they really, having missed out in the Champions League, pretty much an open goal in the Champions League, they need to go deep in this Europa League now.
But I think I was making a point on, listen, people watching this maybe didn't watch the Celtic podcast, but I wouldn't not all watch that. But I made the point earlier, Fraser, is Brendan Rodgers going to have to prioritise? Because I'm not sure that squad depth, especially in the front line, if the new boys don't shine immediately, and even if they do, if you were taking the premise that the two wide guys, for example, well, Yang was maybe going to be going to Birmingham anyway, he's going to be a backup. Can the same team play? And that's the grueling fixtures all the way right through from now until Christmas?
Well, Mick Gannon made a right good point recently that
Premiership, Europa League.
Yeah, and by the way, it's harder to balance the Thursday, Sunday than it is the Tuesday or Wednesday, Saturday.
I think there might have to be a decision on what. Well, listen, I might be wrong. Maybe the new guys will come in and be absolutely brilliant. Every one of them. Maida will be sensational. Ian Atchell will be sensational. Everything will work out fine. But
no, well, you've got a right good point.
They need to prioritise what they want to do here, whether it's keep holding a domestic title or because trying to do all these Europa League games as well with the depth of squad, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a good point because look, they're already creaking at both fullback positions, aren't they? If Tierney Canny finished 90 minutes, who comes in at left back? If Anthony Ralston isn't fit for next weekend, they'll have to bring Colby Donovan.
No, everybody knows Alistair Johnson's out to November.
Yeah.
So what do you do then? What do you do? Does Tony Ralston play every game at right back? What happens?
Well, I think Colby Donovan's a brilliant prospect, so I'd like to see him get some minutes. Look, they might stumble upon what they've been needing for years, an academy product that goes on to become the next Callum McGregor. Because I think in Dane Murray and Colby Donovan, they've got two crackers. For what I've seen of them, they both played against Livingston, both got minutes against Livingston the other week, and I thought they looked excellent. Dane Murray, every game he's played this season's looked a right good prospect. So we can't discount that, but bottom line is they are probably weaker than they were 12 months ago. In fact, they are weaker. I
don't think Anamura's or Yamada are in the Europa League squad, are they? Or Jamal Simpson, PSC either. So
who's signing those players, Craig?
Do they play Premiership Sundays then? Is that how it works?
I don't know. I'll go back to the likes of Navroki and Lagerbielka, who between them are about £10 million. There's been a whole list of these players. Lewis Palmer, Tillio for Australia, Thiago Home, Kwan. These are all seven-figure signings. Some of them closer to 5 million. I mean, the signing policy, it's not been great, has it?
No, to say the least. We've got comments coming in, guys. Let me have a look at some of them coming in. This one from Paul, he says, from no communication whatsoever, that statement, it baffles belief. What are they actually trying to achieve by releasing it? Craig says, those running our club think they live in a bubble isolated from us mere customers. I can promise them their bubble is about to burst in most remarkable fashion. That sounds quite ominous. Mark says, remember Kyogo left months ago. What did Rodgers do? Continue to sing the board's praise. He's as much to blame as the board. Your low Muppet again says, Butland's the best keeper in the SPL. Fraser, he's come back at you for that one.
Yeah, I happily have that argument with him because on any given weekend they might be right. I'm just going that the whole game, everything put together, Kasper Schmeichel edges it for me, but he's older as well, so maybe he'd rather have Jack Butland. Jack Butland's having a great season so far.
Yeah,
I bet he wasn't saying that last year though.
No.
Our caller, sorry.
You just love every goalkeeper, don't you, Fran?
No, not at all. I'm sure there's one out there I'm not too fond of. I can't mind his name right now. There's one somewhere.
And just finally, guys, Davey Hoop says, I can't wait for the next Brendan Rodgers meeting with the press. I've got my toffee popcorn ready. We mentioned this on the Celtic podcast, Swanee. It could be box office, that Friday press conference this coming Friday.
Could be. It's more likely to be an inevitable damp squib. What's Brendan Rodgers going to do? March up and down with a trumpet saying he can't be doing with anybody up the stairs in the board? What's he going to do? Seriously? Really? It's just basically saying that was a disappointing window. We'll try and... In fact, Fraser just read it out there. Didn't he? The statement from a year ago that you said.
Oh, aye.
I think it'll be similar, yeah.
Aye, probably. On the pitch, though, guys, Celtic have been back training. Kelechi Iheanacho has been photographed with Brendan Rodgers. Looks in decent shape. I mean, he could play against Kilmarnock at the weekend. It was all smiles, as you can see from the pictures. I mean, he's still only 28. He could still be a bargain. He really could if he gets the bit between his teeth, or am off base there.
This is really interesting now, honest, whether it's just by fluke or it's by circumstance. That's what it is. We've now got a striker that's played at a really good level in the Premiership, and we really don't know what to expect from him. If this turns out positive, then Celtic might just have stumbled upon a real winner here. Is at a good age. He's coming 29, isn't he? So he should be in his prime. Still to prove what level of fitness he's at. It's no worked at his last 2 clubs. So that's where all the doubts are coming from. But there's no doubt at one time he was a big name down south, and Brendan Rodgers at one time liked him and enjoyed working with him. So who's to say he can't rekindle that form at Celtic Park? It's the proof will be in the pudding, and I cannot wait to find out. It's suddenly interesting. They can't go and sign somebody now, so it's on his shoulders.
Given the revelations with Dyson Maida and stuff like that, if I was doing that deal for Celtic, I'd have been putting him down for 200 grand a goal. It was the greatest motivation ever. This guy could be the difference between bailing the whole situation out on the pitch. If he actually turns up and turns into a sensation, it'll be like, oh, it'll be a complete fluke, but it'll solve a lot of problems, because there's a lot of people have said to me, you're only as good as your front player.
And finally on Celtic, Sing the Blues says, absolutely delighted and just went to Forest. Celtic versus Nottingham Forest in the Europa League knockout phases. Basically, it's going to happen, guys, so we can all get ready for that. Away from Celtic, Rangers Easy OK says, we shouldn't be spending more money than Celtic. Looking at our squad and paper, it looks far bigger than Celtic's. Next few weeks will show if we have strengthened. This weekend looks huge already. And of course, guys, he's referring to Rangers against Hearts on Saturday afternoon. That already, I know we're only 4 games into the season, that already looks like an absolutely mammoth game. Hearts can go 9 points clear if they beat Rangers. I mean, pretty remarkable.
It's a game of the weekend, isn't it? And it's at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Brilliant. This is a massive test for Russell Martin. It seems like he's just not had an easy game yet. This is the biggest one yet in the Prem. Well, sorry, the biggest one at Ibrox yet domestically. Is if he's underplayed the previous ones, then he cannot afford to underplay this in the slightest, because Derek McInnes, as we've said many times before, one, knows the Scottish game probably better than any other manager in that division at the moment, and 2, knows how to get big results against Old Firm. He's done it with Kilmarnock, he's done it with Aberdeen, so he will be going there with this Hearts side that's sitting level top of the Premiership, full of confidence, fully attacking weapons. He's not mastered he's not worked out his best 11 yet, but he's got so many options that he's managing to rescue games off the bench. So this is going to be a 95, 98, 100-minute test of Rangers' mettle, because so far they failed all the domestic tests that have been put in front of them. Yeah, and I include that Old Firm game. They're at home to Celtic, and it was just worst game of football I've seen since, maybe the Celtic Champions League doubleheader right enough, but very little positive to take out of that other than a clean sheet.
I've seen in days.
So, look, in all seriousness, Russell Martin needs a big result domestically. He's come nowhere near anyone yet, and if they can get 3 points against Hearts, it'll give them a bit of a foothold, something to build on. But boy, I wouldn't be putting money on it.
In the comments, Tone says, that's not me. Full strength Rangers couldn't muster a shot on goal against the decimated Celtic. You need another squad to choose from after watching that, Dross. And John says, Derek McInnes will be wanting his team to put in a performance to show the 49ers who they should have picked as their manager. And I'll put up just now, guys, the full list of Premiership fixtures for the weekend. That, obviously, Rangers versus Hearts is the big headline game, but Hibs Dundee United could be a cracker as well. Falkirk St Mirren 2. A couple of really tasty games to welcome domestic football back.
Hibs Dundee United will be a cracking game under the lights. That'll be the feel-good factor around Easter Road at the moment's great. So it always promised to be a difficult first month for Hibs, trying to juggle the qualifiers, and we all know how it's affected clubs in previous seasons. Trying to come back and play on the Sundays, and Hibs managed to get through it just about unscathed. Obviously, there was games that they wanted to win that they didn't win, but they didn't lose them as well. And the performances in Europe were great. But you feel like this international break is way back to when Fraser touched at the very start. It's Bowie back. Hopefully for their sake, the Australian boys are back. Everybody's ready to go. It's like the page is just ripped. A big month for Hibs now. that cup quarter final at Ibrox is a massive game for them. They'll feel like they could go and win that and have a real chance of winning that silverware. Obviously, you talked about the Hearts Rangers game. The one thing about Hearts is they're going to have to. What's going to be important for them is flicking the switch for what they've not done this season. Started slowly in games and giving the first goal away. Constantly, they've been chasing games. And the one place they want to go to on Saturday, when the crowd are really ready to go for the home team, don't start slowly and give them a leg up. You know, Derek McInnes will be saying, start well. Try and get the first goal. Of course, Russell Martin will be hoping that Rangers can do that and go off to a flyer. He'll probably have his new striker playing, Charmiti. Fulkerson looks like a good game as well.
Aye, cracker.
Good game. So, yes, but it's a good, exciting weekend. As ever, what was the game?
I know it's only Tuesday, but Fraser, do you see Hearts getting a result at Ibrox?
I do. Aye, I do. It might be another draw. It might be 5 games, 5 draws for Rangers. That wouldn't be the worst for Hearts. That's a decent result at Ibrox. As Swan rightly touched on, I mentioned myself, they're having to claw games back, so they will want to avoid having to do that at Ibrox. But even if they go a goal down, nothing should that shouldn't take the wind out of Hearts' sails. They know they can claw these games back, and the chances Rangers have been giving up, I keep going back to it. The chances Rangers have been giving up, bar bizarrely that Old Firm game. You would just fancy Hearts to score a goal or two at Ibrox this weekend. I do. I think Rangers need to sort out this Nico Raskin thing pronto, and I think he needs to play. And to be fair, I think he needs to be the first midfield name on the team sheet, basically, and then you build your team around him, because he's him in full flight is Rangers' most valuable asset. He's Rangers' best player, and this distraction is the last thing Russell Martin needs. So he needs to prove his man management skills, getting Nico Raskin's head back in the game. It's like the Belgians held out an olive branch this week with his comments. Get this sorted, get him playing again, and that'll give him the best chance to tackle this Hearts team, who will be high tempo, high energy, and in their face.
What do you think, Swan? Do you think Hearts will get a result at the weekend?
I don't know if they will get. I mean, I think what we've seen on the evidence of the season from both teams is they're perfectly capable of it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try and predict what's going to happen. Do I think Hearts are capable of winning at Ibrox? Yes, absolutely. They've shown they've got the firepower to score the goals. We've seen that this season. It was 3 against Dundee United, 3 against Motherwell, 2 at Liverpool. You know, we've got goals in them, Hearts. So I don't imagine that's going to be an issue. And I did say starting well. Fraser's made a very good point there. Even if Rangers were to score, I was talking more from a Hearts point of view and how they can affect Rangers' mentality. But Fraser's right. If Hearts got a goal down, it's hardly going to phase them. It seems to happen on a weekly basis. Even when they get knocked out the cup, I think they went a goal down, didn't they, and then pulled it back to 1 each. So, you know, fighting back's not an issue. So, I think they can. Whether they will, we'll see on Saturday, but they definitely can, yeah. The great incentive for Rangers at the weekend is no one can dress up. The start of the season for Rangers has been a calamity. It's been an absolute calamity. Yet, if they can beat Hearts, a massive start for them, and then if Celtic could easily slip up at Kilmarnock on Sunday, and from this terrible position, Rangers might only be 4 points behind or 3 points behind. When given the start of the season, they probably couldn't believe. Now, I'm not suggesting for a minute that, similar to the Celtic scenario, that all the Rangers fans are all of a sudden going to go, brilliant, Russell Martin's our guy, we're off and running. But, you know, it would paint a far better picture for Rangers and where they are. And Rangers must be looking across the city at what's happening at Celtic and thinking, didn't expect that was going to happen. This might have opened a wee door.
Aye. Just before we finish up, P. McLaughlin in the comments, he wants you to know, Swanee's got £50 on Armenia. He says it 4-1. I don't know if that's a private. I don't know if that's a private bet or if he came to you for some advice. No idea.
Are they playing tonight?
I think they must be if he's put 50 quid on them. Who knows? Sorry, I said that thinking, you'd be like, that's obviously not. Thanks for that, P. McLaughlin. Stitch.
Sorry, they're beating Ireland as we speak.
Okay. What's the score?
2-1. 10 minutes to go.
There you
50
go. I've been
quid.
so busy with other stuff, I didn't realise Armenia were playing today.
There you go.
They're beating Ireland. There you go.
Good luck. Ask him what price he got.
4-1.
4-1, nice.
Not bad.
250, lovely job.
That's it. I think that on that note, guys, that brings us to the end of Tuesday night's Hotline Live with Record Sport. Thank you very much for all of the comments as ever. We massively appreciate it. We'll be back to do it all at 6 p.m. again tomorrow night. Hope you can join us then. Fraser, Swanee, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
I'm away to get on Armenia and running.
Ireland have just chucked Adamida on, so you never know.
Yeah, there you go.
Double the bet.
Thanks for watching at home. Hope you can join us tomorrow. Cheers.